Blue Lock came back with smoke. As in this chapter, we see France starting on the offensive and Loki having the ball before getting bodied by Chigiri and Karasu's tag team. After that, we see Karasu locking in like never before and he became a beast. Alright, starting off this chapter also called Transformation, we get right back into it where we see Renoir, who previously stopped Isagi's shot and he now is holding the ball in his hand getting ready to throw it out. We see Ryu who looks at this and says that this is bad. Aiku also comments, but is a bit more serious as he screams out to everyone that he's making a long throw counter. And because of that, he instructs all of the Blue Lock players to move back. We then move to Rio, who seems to see something else as he screams to everyone that they need to watch out for Loki. And we then see Loki sprinting with everything that he can in the next panel. And not long after, Renoir actually throws the ball towards him, and we see him dashing behind both Ryu and Rin in a nanosecond. We then move to Henri on the bench and she gets up and looks to be super worried as she screams Ego's name. She tells him that they keep anticipating their actions and explains that nothing is working anymore. She then faces Ego and asks him if he has a plan in mind already and if they should swap out their players. However, to our surprise, we see Ego just intensely watching the pitch while saying nothing at all. After that, the ball goes right to Loki, who traps it, and he gets a serious look on his face as he then goes one gear up and makes an awesome sprint forward, which leaves Hiori right in the dust. But then we see the future number 1 of Blue Lock and the best player ever, Chigiri, who tells Loki to wait up and calls him a speed freak, which sounds a bit rich coming from Chigiri, but since he is the GOAT, we overlook it. Anyway, we then see him grabbing a hold of Loki and trying to have a speed face-off with him. They run side by side, and Chigiri seems to be doing pretty decently against him, as he in his head says that he won't let Loki run free. They keep their pace battle, but then Chigiri notices something crucial, and he says that Loki isn't just fast, but that he is also pushing right through him, and that makes him start to grind his teeth out of frustration. After that, he thinks that Loki is going to be able to get past him, but just then something shocking happens as Karasu comes in and sweeps away the ball from Loki, which leaves Loki looking super confused. Chigiri, on the other hand, looks to be ecstatic as he tells Karasu, "Good job," and Karasu gets ready with the ball as he tells him likewise and calls him Princess. After that, we get into his huge and outstanding brain as he thinks that thanks to Chigiri racing him, Karasu was able to parse Loki's dribble rhythm and managed to cut in just before him. We then spot him looking super focused as he takes a deep breath before looking ahead on the pitch and wondering to himself just what he should do now. He thinks that he should assume that they can't rely on Isagi anymore, and hearing that it's just something that I still can't really believe. We then see Charles, who looks with big eyes towards Karasu, and he looks super ready as he further confirms it by telling him to come on. We also see a quick panel of Hugo just eyeing him down a bit. With all of that in mind, Karasu starts to look serious and a bit worried as he thinks to himself that at this rate they will just keep reading and slowly crush them. With that in mind, he knows that he can't just sit there and wait, and knows that he has to act on his own, which is something that he does as he starts to run forward and just check out that aura around him like that's insane. Anyway, we then move all the way to the useless Isagi. Before you Isagi Glazers attack me, I'm also an Isagi Glazer, so calm down anyway. Isagi thinks back to Hugo telling him to know his place and to obey his destiny. Isagi then curses Hugo out because, due to him saying that he has sadly realized the harsh truth, which is nothing shorter than that his abilities just aren't effective anymore. Hey, it's Natsu, mid-editing here, and I just wanted to pause the video to ask you to subscribe if you haven't already, and while you're already down there, why not leave a like as well? We then see him starting to get more and more furious, as his puzzle pieces start to wither away into thin air as he thinks about Hugo's second saying, and that he should live as the second best. Isagi then decides to take a moment and look around on the pitch, and he says that if he stops worrying about scoring his own goals and focuses on helping the team win, then they could probably evolve. He looks towards Hugo and admits that it might be the best way for them to defeat France, who is currently the king of the soccer world, but he then starts to think deeper about it and questions if that would really be the way of Blue Lock, which we of course know that it wouldn't, and with that in mind, he starts to run on the pitch and he screams towards Karasu that he is free over here. Isagi continues as he thinks that he is going to be the world's best striker and that the ego of his will never waver, and we then see him looking extremely fired up as he tells Karasu with a burning desire that he will make it happen. Karasu sees him but just calls him a dumbass, which to be honest is pretty funny. But anyway, he tells him that acting on a whim isn't going to work against this France team. He sees Isagi coming closer to him and thinks that if they keep on relying on him, then Blue Lock is going to die right here, which is kind of harsh, but it is true. With that in mind though, He starts to use his eyes and look around as he then tells himself to think of something and that they have to change. After that, we get this, not even joking, but at least top 5 manga panels of the entire manga as we spot Karasu being completely devoured and looking like a real crow as he has wings and claws and everything. Like truly this is just phenomenal. Like at first glance I could have sworn that this was Da Vinci's doing, but it's just the Blue Lock authors cooking. Like there's no tomorrow anyway. While Karasu is aura farming, he is actually thinking about something serious and not just trying to look cool, as he says that for Blue Lock's sake, he will change. Which guys, do you just hear that? Like Karasu is truly a real team player. Now am I glazing him so much mainly because of this outstanding panel? And to that I would just say that, of course I am, because how could I not? Anyway, we then see his eyes, which is filled with a blank slate and kind of aura, as he says that he will become the second best, which was just what Hugo was going on about, but instead for Isagi, anyway. Moving back to Karasu, who currently is the flashiest man in the game. As him alongside his new crow wings, he makes a really sick looking dribble behind the France player Bats. Hugo sees this, and he looks to be visibly shocked by that. Under him, we also have Charles, who just like Hugo is having trouble getting what is happening. To Charles's right, it's Isagi, who looks to be the most shocked out of all of them, as he thinks that Karasu used him as bait to dribble past. He then thinks about it some more, and wonders if Karasu is really thinking about going to score on his own. After that, he says that they didn't practice a pattern like this, and I still don't get why he is so worried about following their previous plan, since he knows very well how that hasn't been working, and it feels like letting them play of instinct and vibes would be the best, and it's usually those times where they get their new awakenings. Anyway. Isagi then looks towards Karasu intensely, and he sees his eyes, which are almost burning up with aura, and he wonders just what it is that Karasu is thinking. After that, we move to Charles, who is super confused, and he tells Karasu that his whole vibe has changed. We then see the goalkeeper, Renoir, again, and he calls out to the team that Blue Lock is once again on the attack, and tells them to be ready and to watch out for a shot. However, we then leave him and head to Karasu, who is running with the ball, and he thinks to himself that he isn't going to shoot. And he is far from it actually, as he then calls him a moron as he explains that he has to stop thinking of himself as a striker. His crow feathers are going around him, and he thinks that he needs to erase all needless information, and as he looks out to the pitch, he realizes that he needs to use himself as second best, and then from that devise a new plan. We then see the panel at the bottom, where his eyes are once again going into this new kind of like emotionless and blank state, as he says that he is going to make them win, since he is now in control. He looks at Isagi, Chigiri and Rin, however, as he sees them, and more importantly, where they are currently positioned. He says that they are no good at all. With that in mind, he knows that he has to do something differently, so he then decides to almost end us with yet another amazing panel where he puts out his arm, which isn't even an arm anymore, as it's a whole claw, which looks insane, like whatever the authors are currently smoking on. I'm gonna have to get some of it. Anyway, moving on from that, Karasu says that right now, the one most suitable for a goal is an extraordinary striker, which that saying is just sick as well. But yeah, Karasu then gets away with a pass up on the pitch, and it goes past both Rin and Bachira, and both of them looks at it pretty shocked. However, we then see Karasu, who looks intensely and super serious as he says that he needs someone. Now who is that Karasu could possibly be needing in this intense moment? Well, it's none other than the goat Hiori, who traps it flawlessly. Karasu's eyes start to burn the exact minute that Hiori traps the ball, and he tells him to let's go, and calls him a major sadist. We then see that Hiori's eyes have also started to glow just like Karasu's, and he tells him, Roger that, and calls him a frenemy, and that is just so cold as well. Like, what was even this chapter? This chapter was filled with so many insane and wild things. Anyway, luckily we won't have to wait long to see the follow-up since there is no break next week, and next week we will get the next chapter, which will be called Crow and Ice. And come on, even the title is pure perfection, as it confirms that it will follow up with Hiori and Karasu. And honestly, like, I can't really contain my excitement in this chapter because it was truly insane. I really like how Karasu took on the role of the number 2 and really embraced it for the sake of Blue Lock. Because let's be honest, Isagi wasn't going to switch, which I think is a good thing, as he needs to continue being a striker, but the next best one was, of course, Karasu, since his brain is just massive, and it will help Blue Lock out a bunch with him now acting like the number 2 to their number 1 if that makes sense. Also, the amount of pure and wild panels we got in this chapter was actually wild, especially this chapter. Like, I'm a bit lost for words. How you are even able to cook something up like this. Everything about this looks so cool, and I'll be honest, my love for Karasu has never been like that huge. However, this chapter really solidified him for me, as this chapter showed him to me in a brand new light. We also can't forget to speak about the absolute goat Chigiri, who went and challenged Loki. Was he about to get beaten well? Yes, however, that's not something shocking as Loki is the fastest after all, but just seeing Chigiri being able to keep up with him for a little while was so sick, and as the biggest Chigiri glazer, that was something that I loved. Anyway, let me know what you guys thought about this chapter. Personally, I'm going to go out and give this chapter a 9 out of 10, as I really loved it that much. But please let me know what you guys think. Also, leave your predictions for the next chapter down below, as I would love to hear them. Anyway, if you like Blue Lock and videos like this, then I would highly suggest you subscribe to this channel, and while you're at it, leave a comment and a like, as it helps out with the algorithm a ton. And if you are curious to see another video of mine, then please watch the video that will be popping up on the screen now. Anyway, thanks for watching, and have a great day. Bye.